Okay, so we are back in another episode for our First Achieve podcast, and today we are joined by Marcin, who brings a very interesting combination of experience from leading global identity and access management initiatives to now working at the intersection of cybersecurity. So, Marcin, welcome to the podcast, and thank you for your time.
Hi, Karolina. Hello.
So just a quick run back. In previous episodes, we've been exploring the evolution of the markets, cybersecurity specifically, through conversations with experts. And of course, we are expanding now when it comes to the market in Poland. To begin, essentially, let's start from your personal journey. How did you get into cybersecurity in the first place?
Thank you. Yeah. The days I started overall career, I believe there was no such a word in the dictionary like a cybersecurity, or it wasn't attached to the job title for sure. I started indeed from one hand side as someone who was responsible to secure networks, but also traditional firewalls, as well as my biggest challenge, and that's something which always drove me, was how to secure emails, because spam was on a daily basis these days anyway. How to secure DNS, just to avoid any, DNS poisoning or spoofing. So these were the main drivers for me. When I moved to the more, I would say, corporate career, I also started together with colleagues of mine to build our first CM service, CM solution. And then naturally, as I was also responsible for processes around this service, I also moved a little bit to from the technical side to more managerial role, as I was responsible for service creation, but also during the operational phase, also for assuring the slide operations of this CM service. So we
Mhm.
started, as you can imagine, also with our first SOC. We had like 2 screens. That was a very beginning of these days. We now call cybersecurity. Over time, I moved closer to roles like governance, like risk management, compliance.
Mhm.
Eventually, right now, more closer to the leadership roles. Um, you know, what was always attracting me, that was that this is the point that cybersecurity is also an intersection of I would say business strategy and technology, and also we shouldn't also forget about that, also the human behavior, right?
Mhm.
And it's never something permanent or static. It constantly evolves. So this is it, and of course, it's the security or cybersecurity isn't just about technology or how to protect code or firewall or server, but also about how to protect people, how to protect organizations, right, from all the risks. Nowadays, those risks evolve even faster than we can imagine or realize, right? So
Yeah.
that's
Yes,
that's the point.
I suppose it was for quite similar to everyone back then. It was more of an IT responsibility, just all under one team, and then gradually it worked as cyber attacks grew, and when it became the main thing, it obviously needed a specific team looking after all of those things. Um,
Precise, yeah.
but that's obviously a great journey. At some point along the way, you really started focusing on identity. You've spent a big part of your career in identity and access management. How has that evolved over the last decade, especially with cloud and remote work?
Yes, that's true. That the change I see like from today to 10 years ago is, I would say, enormous, right? So again, if we would move back to like let's say 10 years ago, it was always about perimeter security. So IAM was about largely usernames, passwords, role-based, of course, role-based access inside a corporate network. But then, as you mentioned, yes, with the rise of cloud, of course, with the rise of remote work, which became more popular, the old model collapsed, right? Suddenly, all the users, devices, applications, they lived everywhere. So also, I would say that today identity has become the new security perimeter, right? It's no longer how to provision user, how to reset password, how to manage Active Directory or run some access review once a year. It's more. I would say that now we have the zero trust principle, right? So this is the IAM evolution from the traditional IAM into this identity first. Never trust, always validate. So we moved indeed from this static rules to continuous verification. Every access or every access request shall now be evaluated based on the context. Yes, who's the user? Is it a real user or agent? It doesn't matter, but who is the user? What is their device posture? What is their location, behavior? Are there any risk signals we shall spot? MFA, so multi-factor authentication is now standard. Then, of course, passwordless is the desired model. Federated identity, single sign-on. If you have this multi-tenant cloud environments, right? So it's like basic stuff right now. But now we have, I would say, explosion of non-human identities. Yes. From one hand side, we have the service accounts, but we have also APIs. And now, of course, AI agents, which are running everywhere. So we not to forget, of course, about the cloud. So it's very, very complex. So of course, this is a challenge for new IAM platforms, right? Now they need to incorporate identity, threat detection, and response. They need to take care of just-in-time access and governance also. So this is very complex. What is I would say also something which needs still to be fixed is that the fact that many organizations still treat IAM as tactical IT function and not the strategic enabler of their business resilience, in fact.
Yes, yeah, it is. It should sit at a board level at this point, and of course, with all of that evolution, cloud, remote work, that increasing complexity. Do you think that organizations today truly understand the importance of identity, or is it still underestimated?
Yeah. Of course, I see that awareness has grown. Yes, especially there were some high-profile breaches in the last, let's say, couple of years where the stolen credentials were the entry point. So something which is tied up with the identity and access management. But in my opinion, identity is still underestimated in many, let's say, areas. Let's say someone is, of course, looking to be fully compliant. So sometimes they just want to put the checkbox marked or solved around MFA because MFA is rolled out, then yeah, it's solved. No, in reality, identities, privilege, creep, or orphaned accounts, and of course, poor governance create invisible risks. With remote or hybrid work or cloud everywhere, then we have this attack surface which is tied to identity, and this surface has multiplied. I would say that organizations which still treat identity as foundational with the strong life cycle management or least privilege, continuous monitoring, they of course they see fewer incidents and they can recover faster. And then of course the other ones, then they will have to pay the price anyway later.
Yes. So, of course, we see identity sits at the core of so many security challenges today. But taking a step back from the technical side, how do you see the role of security leaders evolving today?
Yeah. Mm. And again, we need to, let's say, get back to the past and then to the future. But the role of CISO or overall security leaders also changed dramatically, I would say. Like we said on the very beginning, yes, when I was starting, like someone who was responsible to secure firewalls, now it's more strategical role. The same is with security leaders. They were previously, I would say, focused on all the technical controls, on incident response. Now they shall be seen as a strategic risk advisors. Yes, we shall speak with the language around risks. So they have under such a big pressure, they have so many complex threats, and they need to translate them into the business language. Uh, they need to influence the investment decision, the company culture, or even the product strategy.
Yeah,
So the cyber risk, in my opinion, is now entire enterprise risk. It's tied up to revenue, to reputation of the company, to regulatory fines, and of course, shareholder value. I would
yeah,
say that the best leaders, they build cross-functional partnerships with everyone in the organization, with legal, with compliance, with HR, with all the business units, and they need to invest in people, in culture. Uh, they, of course, need to be aware that technology alone fails without human buy-in, right? So, mm,
yeah.
yeah,
It should definitely be board level now. It should definitely
right,
be one of the priorities and discussed a lot more than it does. Um,
right.
of course, that is still a challenge. Not a lot of companies see it that way. But what would you say are the biggest challenges that, let's say,
Mhm.
chief information security officers are facing right now that perhaps didn't exist a few years ago?
Mhm. Yes, you said very important thing about boards, right? So boards, they do no longer want to hear about we are vulnerable or we need this tool, we need that tool. They only want to have a clear answers to, to those questions like where shall we invest first? How resilient we are if something happens? What is our real exposure, right? So the CISO, they need to combine technical credibility with, of course, this leadership capability. They need to have communication skills and strong commercial awareness. But the challenges overall, uh, I would say, agentic AI. I think this is the most hot topic right now. So
Hmm.
all the AI deployments, they are moving faster than any security team can respond. Yes, they are navigating complex, overlapping regulations around AI and resilience. Those are the challenges from, and even the risks, they are also, or the threats are also now on the amplified, if I may say, by AI, right? So
Hmm.
uh, I would say the complexity is extreme, yes, because let's imagine statistical enterprise. They have probably some on-prem solutions. They probably have some cloud. Part of them is still hybrid. They have some SaaS ecosystems. They have, of course, people who are working remotely. They have some third-party vendors to take care of. They still have some legacy systems which are still on the production. They are now also under the global regulations. So it is very, very stressful and
Yeah.
complex situation. And of course, they may naturally miss some, there might be some blind spots created they just missed. So this is the challenge. Then, of course, the speed, how fast everything is changing, how fast we have the new technologies, right? Talent pressure, people are burnt out, there are skill shortages, and workload is increasing.
Mm.
Yeah. So those are the challenges. So not only just protection, it's just keeping pace, I would
Yes.
say. Of course, attackers are also using AI, right? They are
Yeah.
using automation. This is just a business nowadays. They
Yes.
have all the tools we have.
Literally, yes. So they're using AI to attack. Again, we are using AI to defend. It's just finding that
Yeah,
balance, who's faster, I guess. But since we've mentioned AI, because we're seeing um, big shifts around AI automation, um, what would you say that are like new attack surfaces emerging when it comes to the rise of agentic AI?
yeah. This is completely, I would say, different or very different risk model due to this agentic AI, which is they're introducing. These systems can take actions, not just generate the content, but just take actions. So they can be used to manipulate the prompt, for example. So we can imagine that attacker can influence an agent's instructions, the context, or how to behave within some specific conditions, right? Uh, and again, also permissions. So they may have too excessive permissions, going back to AI, of course. So if, let's say, an AI agent has an access to email, to our CRM or finance tool, to our HR system, yeah, then in case this will be compromised, then we may see the impact
Yes.
very much, right? API, so agents, of course, are connected to all these tools, to these workflows. That's how it works. So also they can be tricked to execute some harmful commands automatically. Uh, right? You know, if we put a human, the human can make an error, but autonomous AI agent can't repeat those mistakes
Mm,
thousands of times.
yeah.
It will take him a minute.
Yes.
So yeah, I believe AI for sure creates a new operational identity class that can act as at machine speed. Yeah, so this is the challenge.
The challenge. Yeah. Of course, that creates a whole new level of complexity, as you mentioned. From leadership perspective, how should chief security officers start thinking about securing those AI-driven environments?
I would say just for sure to avoid any extremes. So from one hand side, first decision could be to block AI entirely. Of course, this is not a solution.
Mm,
Also, it is not a solution to allow uncontrolled experimentation. So I would avoid these two extremes, right? I would build a cross-functional governance and of course embed security in AI design from the very beginning, yes, as a process. Then of course there shall be some targeted red teaming around that. And of course, it's all about also fostering a culture when innovation and security may advance together. Yes, so there is a need of having a clear accountability at the leadership level, so from top to down.
mhm.
So AI shall be treated by the leaders responsible for security, I would say, the same way as mature organizations treated a couple of years ago cloud transformation, right? So it shall be enabled, but with governance. So
Yes.
every AI agent needs identity for sure. We need to know who owns it, what systems it can access, what decisions can it take, how it
Yeah.
authenticates. Yes. Uh, List privilege by default. So only minimum access required to complete this defined task, nothing else. And of course, if we allow access to some sensitive data like payments, like HR actions, like production changes, or some regulated data access, we need to, I would say, assure additional level of approval by human. Yeah. So for all those high risks actions, I would also add some, I would say, additional approval level. Of course, not to mention that all the actions shall be fully logged, shall be auditable. Both prompts, decisions, any tools, whatever outputs, this shall be fully logged, right? And I wouldn't put the AI security responsibility only on CISO. Yes, this is, I would say, fully collaborational model. So not only CISO, but also legal, also compliance department, HR, CIO, product teams, right? So it's not about, how do we stop AI, but how do we scale the trust while using AI, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. It shouldn't, because at the same time, we shouldn't technically see a fully autonomous or responsible AI agent, because then, if there is a mistake or if there is a breach, who is at fault then? Who is going to take the responsibility for AI making that decision? That's something also we need to think about. But from my end, I think that concludes the episode. Thank you so much for sharing your insights. It has been a very interesting conversation and a great opportunity to compare the landscape as well. So thank you so much, Marcin, for your time
Thank you,
today.
Karolina. Thank you, bye.